Oh shit, shit. Let's mute that. Okay. Guess we will just goldfish. I think I'm gonna start goldfishing mulligans first and then goldfishing normally. Alright. Oh, jeez. Okay. Double queen, LeFou, ice block. I would keep ice block in greens against green steel maybe, but with this, probably not with this hand. So yeah, I don't need a double queen. I don't need this. Maui against blind decks, no. And yeah, no double queen or ice block against random. So 5. Okay, interesting. Oh. Let's see, let's see. So thinking now depends a little bit on what we play against, but turn 1 Vitalis Sphere can either be an ink or a play. And the same goes with LeFou on turn 2, but you would rather ink something. You'd rather ink something else. So let's let's not play these. Let's just we have a 5-card hand basically, except for if we want to Fishbone Quill to be prepared. So against like green steel, this would be a very slow game where I ink a few times, ink Vitalosphere, pass, draw. I would probably ink Maui and pass and draw. Okay, and then if we are on the draw, we probably have to brawl a Diablo here, and I think if I'm on the play, I would play the queen here, and we could keep a LeFou. So next turn we could Fishbowl Quill LeFou, and then we can ink a brawl on the play. We're a little bit um, sensitive to Diablo, but we could do some shenanigans with LeFou, your Diablo, play Hiram or something if we when we get items, because now right now we have nothing. All right, draw for the turn for 4th. All right, again we don't have anything for these 2 cards, so I'm gonna ink a Maui, and let's first. Oh yeah, we can wait for the ink, but the Maui is probably the ink anyway. So let's first use Queen. Oh, very nice. Get a workshop and order. I would say order like this. If you really need to be prepared, you could, and you let's say you draw cards so that you have both Yamato and be prepared in hand. You can be prepared in the next turn, play the Yamato and or the Maleficent. So let's order it like that, and then ink Maui. I would say play the Fishbone Quill and draw a card from the workshop. I think that's better. And then we can ink the LeFou with the Fishbone Quill on next turn. If Queen would have survive, if would survive, we can start playing the shield and activate Queen, or we can play the shield and Hiram the shield. So That kind of depends on if you're playing against a deck that removes the queen or not, or just ignores you. All right, so we draw Medusa. If queen survives, we activate queen, obviously. Get dime and shield and fishbone quill. So I already have a dime. Against green steel, this would have been discarded already, right? And you don't need a second dime against green steel most of the time. But you can just get it for discard value, right? But by that time, I don't think it's that good. And we kind of want to play an item to draw a card. We have another shield in our hand, so we don't need really need the shield. So free fishbone quill is the best. And then we put the dime on top and the shield on bottom. All right, we'll draw a card from the shield, from the fishbone quill. With the workshop, all right, we draw another uninkable. Yeah, we could play the shield and draw a card from workshop. Right, we get a brawl. Right now we are on the plan to draw a card, so we just ink the brawl, and next turn we have Medusa or Be Prepared, and then ink the Medusa with the Fishbone Quill, and then you activate Shield on the Queen. We untap the Queen and we activate Queen. Okay, very sad that we have to get rid of these, but we already have a Hiram in our hand, so that's okay. Good that we are getting rid of the Queen, because we don't want to draw that card anymore. Put it like this. Play Popsicle for free, draw, pay one, draw. So now we have 6 cards in hand. If we would have played against green steels, probably at least these 2 discarded, if not more. But it kind of depends, right? Let's do one more turn, because after this it becomes too much variance. What you have to do, like remove or play on, kind of like you have 3 removal cards. You have a dime that you're probably not playing yet, and then the moving on cards. Um, ooh, let's continue with a new hand, because that, yeah, after like the first 6 turns goldfishing or something, it just becomes too um, in general becomes a little bit too variance based on what your opponent is doing, and you probably need to be you the first turns you're the proactive, you're a little bit more proactive, and after that you're basically only reactive, and if you have time you can get your stuff going. All right. Okay, let's get our second hand. Another mulligan. Oh. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, very removal based. On the draw, this would be fine, especially like against red purple. You'd probably keep something like this. Maybe this, if you really want to search for an item for the Hiram, but this would be a reasonable hand to keep. The LeFou is a good turn to play on the draw against Flynn or on the play if you have nothing better to do. But most of the time, if you're on the play and people play Flynn, you can just brawl them, right? But in this case, I'm gonna mulligan like we are just playing random, like game one. So I will keep the brawl and the Hiram and keep the LeFou hoping to get a queen. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We have another LeFou and we have a shield. So our hope is that we get a scuttle. That would be best. And other cards we would like are like popsicle, stuff like that. But we could I'm probably starting with Ink LeFou play shield. And then if we draw scuttle, we ink the second LeFou. And if not, you could just ink the inkable if we draw an inkable, or ink the LeFou and just play nothing. That's also okay. So yeah, in general, I would think I will start with ink LeFou play shield. Against most decks, at least. If let's say this was a queen, then I would do it the other. Then I would just ink the shield and wait for a queen so that I can double LeFou the queen, right? But now that's not necessary. Untap, draw. Yikes. Okay. If we're playing against green steel, you could keep the ice block in hand. And just play nothing and wait until you get a workshop. But I'm pretty okay with just inking LeFou and ice block here against every other deck. Let's say blue steel, for example. Right, draw a card for turn 3. Again, you could play either workshop or brawl, depending on if you really have to answer something. If you're playing against red purple, you need to kill a you need to kill a Flynn, then you brawl. Otherwise, you play workshop, and obviously we ink a dragon here. But for now, we'll play workshop. Tap, draw for turn 4, another Hiram. So at this point, if you were goldfishing, you would obviously ink the brawl, but we are not. We are goldfishing, but we are goldfishing for reality, right? And then you want to ink the second Hiram because most of the time this brawl is going to be useful, especially in a hand like this. If we don't really draw cards, then we need the brawl to stay safe. But you could argue again against some matchups to ink the brawl, play the Hiram, and then play the second Hiram when the first Hiram gets killed. Like if you play against a mirror or stock red blue, then you ink the brawl probably. At least on the play. On the draw, you would have played it already, right? Instead of the workshop. But for now, I will just ink the Hiram, play the Hiram, and at this point, Queen is too late anyways. The shield is the least amount of value against every deck except for red purple. And even in red purple, the ice block is also pretty okay. So I'll kill the shield and I'll draw 2 cards. Okay, nice. 2 inkables and a popsicle we can play. So that's good. Right, untap. Draw for our turn 5. Get a Maui. We will wait for inking. If you need to play a brawl, then we can play a brawl and popsicle and draw from workshop. So we will first play a popsicle, draw from popsicle. Okay, we draw a scuttle, and then we draw a card from workshop. Draw another brawl. Again, if we have to play the brawl here, we would play the brawl, but now we can wait in goldfishing to oh Jesus to kill the popsicle and draw 2 cards. All right, and yeah, basically in all situations you would ink either the scuttle or the queen, depending on what the game looks like and what matchup you're playing against. If you're playing against green steel, I would probably ink the queen. If you're playing against basically every other deck, I would probably ink the scuttle at this point and hope you can stick the queen unless you're playing against red-blue, who has ramped far enough that they can Medusa you. Then I would probably not play it. And at this point, you're more likely to ink the Brawl than a Maui. If you haven't played one already yet, this game at turn 5, then you're probably not gonna play it at all, the second Brawl. So let's just play the Queen. All right, go to turn 6. Tap our Hiram, draw. Okay, get a Sisu. So your line, right, could be, let's say the Hiram died. You could Ink Scuttle, kill something with Brawl, kill something with Sisu, and then next turn you can shift the Sisu, for example. But for now, we're gonna wait and activate Queen, Maui, Fishbone Quail, Shield, Crossbow. If we were like in the yeah, this kind of depends on the matchup. Sometimes you want the Fishbone and you want to play it and ink immediately. Sometimes you want the Crossbow, uh, keep it in hand, play it immediately, kill Sisu. And sometimes you want the Shield, keep it in hand, play it to replay the Queen. With our hand, ramp is nice, but it's not completely necessary because uh, we have Madame News on turn 6. We have like Maui Scuttle on turn 7, Sisu on turn 8, and Maleficent on turn 9. So ramping is not exactly that needed, but it's probably our best card in general to take, especially with how many cards we have in hand. But second Queen activation is also very nice. If we take the shield, that would be 5, right? 1 for play, 1 for draw, 3 for activate, and then we can Harum it, ink again, and then activate Queen again and draw another card with Workshop. So I think I'm gonna do that. Sometimes, yeah, it depends. If you want to wheel, then yeah, then you will. If you Stone Dragon, if you watch my video, my mulligan video I just posted, you'll see that I missed Queen 4 times in a row. So yes, I know I know the feeling. It sucks. Like yeah, it can happen. And then I played a best of 3 in like a local webcam tournament I'm hosting, and I missed twice again. So today my queen hits haven't been very good, but this queen hit is like this queen hit is too good. Like we have 3 very good cards that are good against different kind of decks in different kind of situations. And that's the problem with goldfishing. Like you cannot choose which of these 3 you want, unless you know what your opponent is doing. So I'm taking the shield now because I like to activate the queen, and because we can draw a lot of cards. And with our hand, we don't really need to ramp. We have to play every turn if we want to. Um, so, but in most other situations, like if you had to if you had to force to play stuff, you would probably have taken the Fishbone Quill. I would say put the crossbow on top, just in case you need it to kill Tabatoas or something. And the Fishbone Quill is not needed anymore when we are already down so bad. And Maui is the same. Alright. So instead of playing it with the queen for free, we're taking it into hand, so we can activate it immediately. So we pay 1 for the shield, and we draw a card from workshop. We get another workshop. Bad. We would have wanted that from the queen activation, but that's how it works. Then let's activate the queen. Sorry, no, we do not activate. Sorry, we're untapping the queen. Now, then we wait. What we can do is we can either Hiram the shield now, draw a better inkable, or first act or ink the scuttle and then activate queen. This kind of depends on what the likelihood is that your queen survives. So if your queen survives, is likely to survive when exerted after the second, then I would probably keep the shield alive and um, ink the scuttle and play activate shield again. Other way around, if you think it dies, then you shield first, then Hiram it, and then draw 2 cards. Be Prepared and Medusa, and then you scuttle and you activate Queen. So we are going through that line, and now we get our Fishbone Wheel anyways. So yeah, and we Queen on the bottom almost always. The Queen is not useful anymore at the end of the game, and Brock can at least remove, and Tomato is the most important card at this moment. Well, maybe Dime, but the Tomato is definitely more important than the other two, so put that one on top. Alright, let's keep it like that. And then we can pay 1 for the workshop. Draw. And we get another Fishbone Wheel. Okay, so we were assuming that Queen died, so let's kill the Queen now, and let's extend this this goldfish a little bit. Maybe you know what? Maybe we even kill the Hiram. Let's just let's say they be prepared or something. They had nothing. They just had to kill the Hiram and the Queen, or maybe they had like um, Maui for the Queen and Brawl for the Hiram, something like that. So their only card on the field is a Maui. You could maybe something like yeah, you could say that. Um, In that case, we have so many cards here, but we don't really care about them having a Maui on the board. Right now, we just want to draw a dime and ramp a bit. So I will um, play Workshop. I'll draw a card from Workshop. And let's ink Scuttle for turn. At this point, we have so many cards that can deal with our opponent's cards that the Sisu is probably the worst. Unless you care a lot about the Sisu shift, then you can ink the Brawl, but we can use that inkable for later. So I'm inking the small Sisu with the Fishbone Quill. And then we can play another Fishbone Quill. We can only draw 1 card from one of our workshops, but that's okay. We draw a card, and then at this point you have triple Medusa, and they only have them if we're going that they only have a Maui in their on their field and they're playing red blue, then we ink the Maui. If they're playing red purple, we ink the Brawl with with this on hand. So I'm gonna ink the Maui. Let's say we play against red blue, and we ink the Maui from the Fishbone Quill. All right, next turn. Draw a card. Right, we draw a Tamatoa, so we are keeping this in hand until we get the dime. Right now, it's just draw cards until we get dime. And if our opponent has something annoying, we kill it with this. We have 7 cards to just stop our opponent from doing anything, and we have time to rotate the popsicle because we're gonna play the popsicle now. We're gonna draw 3 cards. So 1 from the popsicle, 1 from the first workshop, and 1 from the second workshop. Okay, let's say we had to spend some time because else it's going too far. Let's say we have to kill something, ice block. Let's say we have to kill something with the Medusa using an ice block. This could happen if they're again if they're playing blue steel or something. You can kill Tinkerbell with Ice Block Medusa if they're playing red blue. You can kill a Medusa with Ice Block Medusa. I wouldn't do that most of the time because that's a little bit of a waste. And right now we want to dig for dime, right? So we don't need that. But let's say we have maybe they played a Hiram. Let's do that. Let's say they played a Hiram in that case. We we still have 2 inks and our normal ink, right? So we can, and if they play our Hiram, we want to keep 3 ink open for the brawl, but we have 3 ink open, right? So we can play the workshop and then draw 2 cards. Ice block crossbow. Then we can, at this point, Maleficent is not that needed anymore because we also have crossbow. So if we want to kill Tamatoa, we can crossbow Medusa. So I would say Ink Big Sisu. That card is not that great in against red blue, and let's Ink. Ice block is nice to keep. It's also a 1-drop item, so we probably want to keep this. We want to brawl, so we have to keep that one. We want to keep both our Tamatoa, so if we draw a dime, we can play a dime, then next turn play a Tamatoa, and then turn after that play Tamatoa and win the game. We have 3 Medusa, so I think I would probably just throw out 1 Medusa and keep the Maleficent for now. With the other ink. Oh, we had 1 more even, right? Yeah, because this was not our ink. Uh, hmm. 1 more ink for real. I mean, we could wait. We could play 1. Nah, that's not worth it. Yeah, not playing Popsicle here is probably not worth it. If we want to ink for real, we could just probably ink the Maleficent Dragon anyways, depending on how many cards they have in their hand, but we have good enough removal here, so let's just ink the dragon, I guess. We don't have to ink, but we kind of want to have as much ink as possible to maybe, if we get our dime late, we can play a dime Tamatoa and activate immediately. So we're giving like a lethal on board threat that our opponent has to deal with. And then we brawl their Hiram. But you don't need to ink. You don't need to ink the dragon, obviously. Um, if your hand is a little bit smaller, let's say we didn't have we had like this. Let's say we didn't have the ice block as well. Let's say we only had this, maybe even without the be prepared. We had only 5 cards in hand. We only have 2 answers. One of them requires the Fang Crossbow, the other is 9 ink. Then you would probably just keep the Maleficent and start drawing cards with Popsicle. Hopefully get 4. Yeah, you can draw 4 cards and then hopefully get one of these answers or dime. But for now, with this many cards in hand, you can just ink the Maleficent, and then we brawl the Hiram. Okay. Next turn. Like, draw for turn. Get a LeFou, so that card is kind of useless. We'll start drawing cards now. We can play Popsicle, draw a card from Popsicle. Okay, that's a dime. Now you can wait. You can keep the the workshop triggers on the in the bag, right? And then you have to wait. Okay, so I have 7 here. I have nothing to activate it, but I can just draw the 3 cards anyways, and then have one left. So let's draw the cards first, and then see what we ink, and maybe yeah, we won't have enough ink. We can ink 3 times. Won't have enough ink to also play the Tamato and also activate it. So right now we can just draw 3 cards from our workshops. Queen, Ice Block, Brawl. We can ink a Queen for turn. Ink a LeFou for Fishbone Quail. And then at this point, the Brawl is probably not necessary. And yeah, The brawl is probably at least necessary. So let's ink the brawl. And then for 7, or you wait. Actually, let's keep that brawl here. And then first draw. So we have you have one fishbone quill untapped. So for 7, we play the lucky dime, and then we can draw at least 3 more cards. But let's just do it one at a time. Right, 1, 2, and 3. And then we ink the queen with the fishbone quill instead of the brawl. That's better. Okay. So now we have 10. We have 15 ink exactly. We will draw for turn. We are probably never mowing here. If they have a lot of stuff, you just be prepared here. If they have if they don't have stuff, then you can just play the Tamatoa. All right, so yeah, in this case, normally I would I will first check if we can win from 20 to 0. Obviously, I think we've quested already once with the Hiram, but let's say we didn't. We're just going for the 20 to 0, 0 to 20. So Tamatoa is 8, Dime activation is 2, so we have to keep this kind of here. Let's keep that in a pile. Um, Obviously, this is telegraphing a lot, but you're planning on doing it anyway, so you're gonna show those cards anyways. And then we have 6, 7, 8, 9 items. So Tamatoa dime is 10 for now. We can play. Let's say we use all our ink, then we can play 6. So 6 ink, so 4 items. So that would be 9 plus 4 is 13. So Tamatoa would be 15. If we were at 5, let's say we had a scuttle or something, then and let's say we had a scuttle at the beginning and we quest for 5, which can happen a lot. Actually, it happens a lot actually with how the scuttle survives because they don't really want to spend their time getting the scuttle. We could just win here, play our items, and then tap, whoop, and play our Tamatoa. If we have to answer their their board with beep red, we have the opportunity to do that because we have 8, because we have 5 ink remaining, and we have ink for turn plus double quill, so we have 8 more ink to play with. You could also, if let's say they have guaranteed lethal, or well, almost guaranteed lethal. Let's say you play the mirror, they have a lot of cards in their hands. They just play the classic Tamatoa, dime it, and then say, okay, I have a Tamatoa in hand. Good luck. Then you can just try and go for the kill. Hopefully you draw items. So that will look like this. You use 1 ink for popsicle. You draw a card. That's not an item. You can draw at least 1 more card from the workshop. Also not an item, and now it just becomes a little bit impossible because you need 5 ink. You can ink 3 more times, so you can draw 1 card extra from workshop. That would be a fishbone quill, and you can ink 3 more times. You could play the fishbone quill. That would bring you to 2. And then you can ink once again with the fishbone quill, and then you get 3, so you can only play the double ice blocks. So yeah, that wouldn't do anything. So yeah, you're not getting lethal here, but you're getting very close, and you could have been prepared here and then played Tamatoa, activate dime, get back popsicle, I guess, and then you're good. All right, that was a long goldfish game. let's see if we can do a smaller one now. Uh, Good guide for if you're playing this deck. We only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. We only had 15 cards remaining. If you're playing against blue steel, be a little bit more careful about drawing all your cards in your deck, because you can just lose. I missed one follower, Quarant22. Thank you for following. I hope this stream kind of helps. Even if we aren't playing, we can still learn, right? I'm gonna pal shovel. It's a little. I know it's doesn't really work for randomness, but it kind of works if you don't have the time to shuffle the required amount of times you need after you um, stacked a deck, basically, with how many items you shuffle in. And most of the time when I put my cards back together, you see that I put all my items in the same pile, right? Um, It does. Thanks for all the videos and content, especially with how sport helps. Thank you. Yeah, I hope. I only need players to make more like YouTube content for gameplay at least, and the other content I'm just making. I hope to make at least like one video every day. Sometimes that's more, depends on if I have a good idea. Like I have an idea list right here, like on my monitor, like what I want to do. Um, so I did the mulligan guide, for example, and um, I used to play 62 cards. So I wanted to make a video on how to get to 60, but now we're playing 60 cards anyways. I can make an update video, I think, on the few changes we made, because we switched to 22 items instead of 25. If you look at my deck guide video, like on the actual deck, then you see that we run 62 cards and 25 items, and I run 60 cards and 22 items. Uh, and we went from the Maurice to the Dragons, but that's really like the deck still functions the same. It's just you switch a little bit, you switch your style a little bit. And right now we're thinking about cutting, like in a aggro meta or in a full red purple meta. Um, we're thinking a little bit about playing hand Sisu again and then not Scuttle. But Scuttle is so good right now for this deck, especially against green steel and blue steel and the mirror. It's just that if you expect a lot of aggro in your locals, that you probably should switch a little bit and play more big Sisus, I think, as well. So the changes, so we did -2. So we cut the Maurice to 60. Then I'm pretty. Did I play 3 Scuttle, 3 LeFou already? I can check actually. I'm gonna double check um, what my list was on the in the video. Because I have like right now I have like 10 lists on Dreamborn with on the same deck, so I don't know which one is exactly the one I used for the video. Let's check. So that's the second guide. No, third. Okay, let's mute this. All right, let's look. Let's see at Dreamborn. What did we change? So I'm grabbing my normal list as well. Okay. So our changes are very, very mild. We cut the two Maurice to go to 60, and then we added 2 dragons and 1 be prepared, and we cut 1 shield, and we cut the 2 Greatstone dragons. Yeah, so we got 5 cards. So the 2 Maurice, the shield, uh, yeah, the 2 Maurice, the shield, and the 2 Gravestone dragons, and we added 3 cards, the 2 dragons, and the 1 be prepared. So now we have 3 be prepared instead of 2, which feels so much better. actually. Like that change is probably the best. If you want to stick with the Barbies, which is something I'm thinking about, because it can just completely destroy um, a green steel when you play it on turn 6 and they can't kill it, and then you draw an item and you just win because you just draw all your cards. Um, but yeah, yeah, you could change the Maurice and the Dragons, but the rest I would keep like this. If you were playing against let me just link the new Dreamborn in the chat. The other change you can make is cut the three scuttles, play a fourth LeFou, and then two hand Sisus. That's more for the aggro, and then you should probably change this third Be Prepared to a third big Sisu because you're playing more shift targets. So then um, then your shift becomes a better board wipe against mostly against aggro decks anyways than the Be Prepared does. But that's not always the case. So right now I'm fine. I'm very happy with three Be Prepared, two big Sisu to kill their stuff. Those are the changes we made. I've tested a lot of other cards. Let me grab them. So yeah, there are even more cards here. Okay, not this one. Well, I tested the Grotto, but the Grotto was not good in my opinion. Let's see. So we we got the shield, and then you could play two hand teasers, maybe even three. You could cut huh. Maybe you play against aggro. You may play one Maleficent Dragon and you play three small C2s or something. You could do that, um, but the dragons are fine. Then yeah, we got the two Maries, but I could see them replacing the dragons again. You could perhaps play a third dragon. If your matchup, like if your locals is only green steel, then I would definitely include two Greystone Dragons. I'm not sure what you would cut. You could cut one Be Prepared because that reduces your vulnerability to Ursula. Or you could maybe shift around. You could play one less Fishbone Quill. Maybe even two Fishbone Quill, two Greystone Dragon. If your meta is full of green steel, then you could play two Fishbone, two Greystone Dragon. That's okay. I tried Audrey. Audrey is a really win more card. It's a little bit like Magical Christmas Land. Sometimes if you play it and it stays alive and you have if you have a dime, you can gain 6 lore, right? First you activate dime on Audrey, then you quest and you untap dime, and then you activate dime again, so that's 6 total. Or it could be like the second dime activation for lethal if you play a Tamatoa, but the problem is it has 2 power. So against red decks, it just dies to big Sisu, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Um, we tested the. Uh, I haven't tested the one-off fish hook yet, but it doesn't give rush, and Vitalisphere does, and that's very important. And in our deck, um, we don't really play Maui's fish hook. Sorry, we don't really play the Maui on curve or at all, and except against red purple, and then it doesn't survive that long. Callfire, you'll be able to play tomorrow. Then I will stream tomorrow. I'll probably stream tomorrow anyways, because uh, Stone Dragon uh, gave me the hint that I could just goldfish on stream while waiting, and that's actually just a good idea. So I'll be doing that. The other thing I could do, which I might do this evening in a few hours, maybe in an hour and a half or something, is that I will grab one of my proxy decks. Not sure how fun it would how fun it would be to play against green purple. Oh, green purple is horrible, but it's good to test because I've played against it once, so it felt horrible, but maybe it's fine. Is it worth adding a third Vitalisphere? Most of the Discord comments today have been about it coming in clutch for clearing threats clicky. Yes, but it's only good against red purple. and against people that don't know what they're doing. And those two, like, okay, so red purple is hard, um, and a third Vitality would be nice, but we can't really fit that, and it's only red purple. So unless your meta is full of red purple, then sure, play a third, and then maybe play one less dragon again. Yeah, you could just play one less dragon or one less fishbone quill or something. Um, but the problem is it's not that good against other decks, and if it's also good against people that quest with Bucky, but people that quest with Bucky in those situations are just bad players, so you should just win anyways, kind of, right? This is very like generalizing, but that would be my uh, yeah, that would be my comment on that. But it is possible if you like the card, then obviously play it. 4 p.m. EST. Yeah, I can do that. 20. That's 10. Yeah, that's 10 for me. Yeah, that's okay. I will probably stream the whole evening, so maybe until so that would be maybe until like 6 or 7 p.m. EST then. Um, something like that. Sometimes I just go to 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning, right? So um, yeah, okay, that's cool, Calfire. Let's do that. That's a good idea. So let's go to the other cards. Um, so we have Cruella. This is like uh, kind of against Green Steel Bucky, but also against Flynn Rider. The problem is that against Green Steel, it just dies against shift lines that then sing that Storm Rage on. The worst possible thing that can happen is if you play this on turn 2 on the draw, they have a Bucky and they have a Diablo, and then they play Aladdin. You have to discard a card, and then they play Shift Diablo, and then sing saying let the storm rage on with the Diablo, so your Diablo answer is gone, and then you just basically discarded a card for free again. So that's a bit of a problem. So I myself wouldn't play Corella. I know the original maker of this deck that played in Chicago played the 3, I think, and liked it a lot, but for us, we replaced it with LeFou, and LeFou works very well with the Queen, and it's also a Flynn answer. It's not a Diablo answer, but we have so many cards against Diablo anyways. We have Ice Block plus Sisu, or we have Brawl, and since we keep Brawl always and Ice Block Sisu, if we have both of them against Green Steel, we can, yeah, we are able to deal with that deck. So 2 GD Hubs was another test. I didn't really have a lot of time, and I basically only played against Blue Steel, so that's already a very good matchup. So I didn't really need the Judy Hubs. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good card if there's more mirrors, but right now there's not a lot of people playing this deck, so I don't think it's worth it to play it now. And against Blue Steel, the normal Blue Red, um, yeah, it can hurt them a lot, but it's not totally game winning on turn 3, and we already have a lot of turn 3 plays. That's kind of the problem with all the other turn 3 or 3 ink cards. You could play a third crossbow if meta is full of Sisu decks or Dragon decks. Uh, if you want, you can cut a Vitalisphere if there's not red, if it's all red blue, for example, and there's no red purple, you can change one Vitalisphere for crossbow. But be careful because crossbow on itself is quite a bad card. It's only really good if you get it for free from Queen or can draw from Workshop. Then we tried out Aerial. You almost always have more items than your opponent, even against Blue Steel. Not always, but most of the time. But it's uninkable, and we already have 19 uninkables, and that's a lot. And so I couldn't really find the room, so I'm not playing the Aerial. Then we have Aurora. Aurora is actually pretty okay. And if there's more item destruction, like if there's more green steel, you could also play Aurora against Aladdin, on the play at least, and it's fine um, against against blue steel that plays beast. Let's say this deck becomes meta and blue steel starts playing 4 beasts, then you might want to play Aurora as well. And while the effect of ward is pretty nice for your items, the other effect that you can tap an item and basically scry, right? In the magic, you can look at the top card, put it on top or bottom. That is the actual good effect. The ward effect right now is just a small bonus, and it quests for 2, which is okay. And it's a 3/3, so that's also reasonable. Then we tried at the very beginning, we tried Triton. Um, that was kind of the start of the deck. And the idea is that with shield, you can kill one of your items, gain 3 lore, shield the Triton, untap Triton, and then kill the shield to gain 6. But it's uninkable, and we already have 19 uninkables, so it doesn't really fit in our deck, unfortunately. And then finally, I tested Tinkerbell, which says that whenever one of your items is banished, you may put it into your Igwell face down exerted. If it didn't have the last 2 words and exerted, then I might play it anyways. But now it's only really good if you have a higher on turn 4 and then Tinkerbell on turn 5, so you can get back the popsicle and put it into the ink, so you're ramping. However, sometimes you just want your popsicle to be in the discard uh, so you can get it back with Tamatoa later. So yeah, it's maybe good if Flying and Platinum becomes a 3 off in Blue Steel, or well, Blue Steel wouldn't play it, but Green Steel or something, or Amber Steel becomes a deck and they play 3 Flying and Platinum. Then you could start playing 2 or maybe even 3 Tinkerbells. But they're also quite easy to kill because they're 3, 4, and they don't have ward or evasive, so you can't really quest with them that easily as a 5 drop. So those are uh, those are no-nos. I will test myself the Sisu in a few days, maybe today even, to see what the card can do. But I don't know what I want to cut for it yet because I do want to keep the Scuttle. So I might cut like 1 LeFou, 1 Scuttle, play 2 Sisus, and then maybe uh, change around some other cards. Maybe cut the Maleficent Dragons and just play 3 Sisu anyways, and just then play 1 less Scuttle or something, and then change the third Beast into the third Sisu, and then we can see uh, what the Sisu is good at. All right, let's play. Let's play one more. Let's do one more goldfish with mulligan. Oh, all right, 7. Yikes. Okay. Um. Hmm. This seemed like a Mule 5 or Mule 6 hand. Against some decks, you could keep the workshop, but we already have a queen, so we already have the turn 3 play we want. So workshop could be gone. You could keep a fishbone quill, but most of the time when you're mulliganing so many cards, you also want to mulligan the fishbone quill and just want to get it of the queen. The rest of the cards, like blind CC without ice block, is never a keep. and Medusa and Tamatoa is also never a keep. So this is just a mill 6, and then we hope we get better cards. 4 and 3. Okay. I mean, they're inkable and they're okay. For Goldfish, it's a little bit sad, but for a game, if you're not playing against red purple or an aggro deck, this hand seems pretty okay. You have turn 1 shield, turn 2 don't do nothing, turn 3 queen, turn 4 activate queen, shield it, or Hiram. Depends on what we draw for turn 2 and turn 3, I guess. Let's see. And we have like a Maui Easy Ink and Fang Crossbow is also reasonably easy ink most of the time. But let's start with Maui Ink and Shield. Right, draw for turn. Another uninkable Medusa. So let's ink the crossbow and go to turn 3. Right, Brawl. We already have 2 Medusas. Our plan is on turn 3 Queen, maybe turn 3 yeah, turn 3 Queen, maybe turn 4 activate Queen twice, or turn 4 Hiram. So we don't need a second Brawl. So we ink the Brawl and then we play the Queen. Right. Turn 4. We get another Brawl. Jeez. Okay, let's activate Queen first and then we can see what we want to do. Alright, Quail, Ice Block, Maui. Okay, right now I'm pretty okay with just getting a Quail, putting the Ice Blocks on top, and activating the shield again. See what we get. Workshop, be prepared, Sisu, Quail. So now we're obviously playing the workshop. And let's put the be prepared on top and the Sisu in the middle. And then we can ink for turn, and again we have a brawl, and we have our turn 5 play if we want, so we're taking the brawl. Most of the time our queen dies here, which is okay, because when we start our turn 5, we can, let's say our queen dies, we can Hiram the shield and then start drawing more cards. If the queen survives, then we might activate it again, depending on what we get from the queen and if we draw a card from Marie's workshop or not. So otherwise, let's say they played a castle and the queen survived, you could ink a brawl, play a Maui. You could double Maui with the shield, and then activate Queen. Well, most of the time you want to activate Queen here first, obviously, or basically all the time. But that's kind of the play patterns you can go through depending on which matchup you're going. So for now, let's just activate Queen and see what we get. Dime, Fishbone Quill doesn't really matter anymore. We're taking the dime all the time. You don't want, if this is the second dime you can see, then you can put it on the bottom. Most of the time you still don't want to, but depending on the matchup, sometimes you have to. You have to draw cards to the popsicle or uh, and with the workshop. But in this case, the first dime is almost always the take. Unless you're actively losing the game and you need to draw an out, then you play the popsicle, and we put the tomato on top. Draw. Put that on bottom. Okay, so we don't draw a card. Uh, our queen survived. We can just activate shield and queen again. This time we get a popsicle. Um, you could get the crossbow, but if the queen survived now and you think it can survive again, you kind of want to shield it again next turn and not spend your turn killing things. And then the crossbow loses its value. But if you play against red-blue, like with this, you have no answers right now to big characters or Tamatoa. And if you have the crossbow, you can crossbow it and then kill it with Medusa against a Tamatoa, right? So that could be a play against like green steel or something. Then you would obviously take the popsicle. Blue steel probably the same, although again they play Tamatoa, so you can uh, get the Fang crossbow. It depends a little bit on how much ink they have. If they ramped a lot, then the chance that they play a Tomato is higher. So then you kind of want the fishbone quill. Sorry, the Fang crossbow. Um, in this situation, the popsicle is also nice because it's a good high aim target. Obviously. Hmm. What are we going for? Which matchup? Which matchup are we planning on? Let's do blue steel. And let's take the crossbow so we draw a little bit less cards and we can show how the deck works when you have a little bit less cards in hand. So obviously normally you would probably take the popsicle here against the random deck. But yeah, we'll keep it like this. And if you draw like this, you probably put the popsicle on top. Yoink. Okay, and then we draw a card from workshop because we have nothing we want to do with 3 ink. Unless you want to have to kill something with brawl, then you don't draw from workshop, then you activate quill. Let's say you put down the Medusa and ink for turn, ink Maui for turn, and then brawl something. But in let's say in this case against blue steel, that's rather unlikely. But sometimes, although this is turn 4, sorry, turn 5. So you could relatively often see a Hiram on turn 5 from them, but let's say they play a Cogsworth and then just nothing happens, right? And then you still want to draw a card, even though they might wheel. Because you increase the chances of dropping your dimes in your wheel. Uh, in your discard. And right now we're at enough cards in our deck. If we were lower in our deck, then we might not draw a card here and just play something. But if they only have Cogsworth, we can't play anything. So we'll just draw a card. We draw Be Prepared, playing against blue steel, so we kind of want to keep one in hand. And Maui is often just not good. If they quest with their with their Cogsworth or sing something that doesn't kill the queen, we can just kill it with queen, shield queen, right? So we don't need that, so we ink that one for turn. And basically everything now that we have a crossbow can be hit with a crossbow brawl, so we can ink one of our Medusas. Right. Let's go to the next turn. I have had some games against blue steel where my queen survived for 3-4 turns. So this could be relatively this could happen in an actual game against blue steel that you'll have this many activations. So they haven't wheeled up. Let's say they haven't wheeled. Their hand is just shit, or like yeah, or they play a Hiram now, for example, and then they don't want to wheel because we're playing red blue and we already fishbone quilled once, right? So we are also ramping. Then we just want to continue playing. If they play a Hiram, we brawl it. We will prepare a brawl. We could also prepare mid and Medusa. Kind of depends on what we get from our queen activation because we can activate queen again. Ice block, Hiram, Medusa, Tamatoa. Alright, so we'll put Tamatoa on top with Iron in the middle, Medusa on the bottom. It's most of the time the order is Tamatoa or Dime, card draw, immediate card draw, removal, and other things like other items. That's most of the time the order I put things on the bottom. Uh, Okay, so we get an ice block from the queen. Let's not draw it. Let's just play it. Against blue steel, you probably don't need to, but you can, if you want, not play it, so it doesn't enter exerted, and then play it, and kill something with Medusa if that's if you want to kill something with four and you don't want to Fang Crossbow or you don't have a Fang Crossbow in your hand, right? Or on the field. So right now we're just gonna play it for free and we're gonna draw a card from workshop. Okay, so we get another workshop. I think what we kind of want next turn is we want to play a dime and just draw like a few cards from dime activation. So kind of don't ever need a Hiram here. We can first, because our plan is kind of yeah. Let's say they played a Hiram, so we first brawl something, brawl their Hiram, and then we got to play this workshop. Um, at this point, with double workshop, Hiram is not even needed, and we probably won't have time because we want this turn we want to play the workshop, and next turn you want to uh, play the dime, or maybe you want to be prepared if they play a lot of threats. They play their hand out. Let's say they signal. Um, let's say they signal whole new world. Yeah, we can be prepared our board and just say, yeah, go ahead, man. You have one card in hand, you can't sing it, and we have ramped as well, so we're ahead. So let's ink this. Oh, sorry, let's activate that one as well. And at this point, uh, Dragon can against Blue Steel can definitely threaten things and quests for two, and that matters. Also with a dime, it is a better dime target than the Medusa is. So what I would do is ink the Medusa, keep the Beaver Bird in our hands, and then we won't activate the Queen again, but uh, we'll just play a workshop and draw a card from the other workshop. Oh, that one is not exerted. Okay, that was our turn. So we'll untap. And redraw. Okay, so let's say they signaled their be prepared like their whole new world. They played everything, but they weren't be able to sing it or whatever. You could be prepared now. You could uh, activate. You could ink the queen. You can play the lucky dime, draw two cards. You can, at this point, we have enough ink to just ink the queen for 5 and just play Maleficent. Right now, that would probably mean that we won't ink for turn. So remember, if you don't ink for turn, then just Fishbone Quill the thing you would normally ink for turn, so that they don't get free information. And yeah, from your hand, and yeah, you could just keep like this in hand. uh, let's say queen died, for example, then yeah, you're just winning like this, right? But for now, let's just activate queen, get more cards, right? We'll get the Vitalosphere, not the best card against red blue, but um, sorry, against blue steel, but it's okay and it's an item, so we can just draw a card here. See if we draw a better inkable, so we can keep uh, the double Maleficent and be prepared. That's probably better card than one of the Maleficents, to be honest. Popsicle. Um, could even play it and draw a card now, and then ink Quail and ink something with ink Queen and ink something with Quail, and then still have 7 to play it lucky time. We draw the cards anyways, we just draw it in a different way, which is okay. So let's play the Popsicle. Draw from Popsicle and draw one from workshop, and we have another draw, but we can only ink twice. So we want to ink twice now to play the dime because we drew Tamatoa. So I would say open ink the queen because we already have a queen on board, so it's a little bit less information, and then fishbone quill the LeFou, and then keep this in hand. Then we play the lucky dime. Okay. So now would be a good time for them to kill the the queen. I think it has enough value already, and we don't need to goldfish every queen activation. I will probably do like a video on the queen on just queen activations every time. Although I did make a video already, my first video on every item and the queen, um, but I can show it in a goldfish, right? So I'll draw a card for your turn. Alright, we draw another queen. Right now we are at 8. We are at 8 plus 2, so 10 ink. So that's enough for playing Tamatoa and a Lucky Dime activation. And right now we have 9 items, so we can like activate for 10. Against some decks, Tamatoa is relatively safe. I would say green steel is probably the worst deck at killing a Tamatoa. Though, yeah, they could. We didn't talk about Bruno it, but then there's a chance you could get it back in hand and then you just win from the time activation because we have four other cards in hand. So if you're playing as green steel, probably play this. But this test is against blue steel, so that is not necessary. And blue steel is very bad against killing Kamatoa. They only have like one or two let it goes, and most of them don't play any Hades. So I would honestly, because we're not going for lethal, I would kill a popsicle first, then play Tomato for 8, get back the popsicle. Then we can ink a queen first. Well, then actually it doesn't matter. Let's play the popsicle, draw a card from popsicle. You can even pay one more to draw a card from workshop. Okay, we got a popsicle, and then we ink the queen, and just in case they kill our Tamatoa, I want to keep the popsicle for ink. So right now we definitely keep the lucky dime for ink. So now we have to choose which one we want to get rid of. I would say at this point, Beef Bread's probably not good anymore, but you'll probably never play two Malips in this game anymore. So let's just ink that Fishbone Quill, ink that with Fishbone Quill, and then activate Dime for 4, 8, 9, 10. So we go to 10, right? And then if the Tamatoa survives, we just win the game next turn, obviously. So let's say they did let it go. So we have one more extra ink. So we'll draw a card. Now we have 2 Be Prepared against most deck. If you have 2, you can ink one with the Fishbone Quill because you probably never play 2 in one game, or at least not back to back. But sometimes against some decks like red purple, you could keep it. Against green steel, you could keep it if you're worried about the 2-cost Ursula, because then they can discard one and you can play the other afterwards. But right now we're just first gonna play Popsicle, draw from Popsicle. We will draw a card from the first workshop and one from the second. We're just digging for Tamatoa, and well, we got the Tamatoa and we have enough ink for Tamatoa plus dime. So that's game. All right, that was a long goldfish. But yeah, that's kind of how the engine works. It always heavily depends on um, it always heavily depends on how long your queen survives a goldfish like this. Sometimes you might want to do a goldfish where you can only activate it once or twice or in one turn, and then it dies, and then you can check what would the game look like. It kind of depends on yeah, it kind of depends on what matchup you want to train for and what situation you want to train for. And if you just want to see the lines, then you want to keep it alive as long you want to just keep it alive so that you can see what would I do if I had the queen, and then because the queen activations are really the things that are the hardest and the most important to learn. When do I activate the queen? What do I take from the queen? Um, do I untap the queen with the shield and do not untap it, or yeah, or any other way? So that could be helpful to learn to just goldfish it, and otherwise you can always if you want to goldfish mulligans, you can mulligan, do the mulligan, and yeah, just yeah, do the mulligan and then play uh, four game like 4 turns, 4 or 5 turns, and then shuffle again and then play again. So I'll give you an example of that. So now we're only gonna play like 4 or 5 turns. So okay, um, right now I would mulligan like this. Let me explain why. Um, you would like to we would like one turn 3 play, and we don't need a workshop. The queen is a better turn 3 play than workshop almost every time, but it's not always, but most of the time. And Sisu plus Ice Block is kind of like a turn 4 play. You can play both on turn 4 and kill something with 2 more attack, or you can play one on you can play the Ice Block on turn 1, and then let's say you're playing against red blue and they ramp on turn 2. Um, you want the Sisu plus Ice Block to kill their Hiram if they Hiram on their turn 3, right? With the one jump. So 3 Sisus is a lot. You could keep something like this, and let's say this was a random inkable. You could keep something like this. More likely would be something like this against aggro decks. So you can, let's say this was a random inkable. You ink this. You play Ice Block. Next turn, you we hope we draw an inkable. Yeah, that would be Scuttle. You ink Scuttle, you play Scuttle, you draw another card, you ink the queen, or well, you'd rather ink something else, but you can ink the queen, then just double C2 and then hope you can kind of survive there. You hope you hurt their aggro uh, game plan enough. But yeah, normally you could just keep one. Uh, like against a blind deck, you would just keep one. Right, let's do three cards then. We had the Scuttle we saw, and we have the Hiram, and then we have a Maleficent Dragon, which is probably gonna be ink. But I try to keep the dragon in my hand as long as possible, because if you can keep it for the late game, it's a really good late game card. But if you ever need to ink a card, it is one of the best cards you can just ink because it works well. Uh, it worked well as ink, and it's fine not to have it in the late game. It's just a good top deck in the late game, but it's not a card you need in the late game because you kind of want your Tamato and your dimes, right? And you just go for the win, or you just draw cards in the late game to get to that win condition. Um, Okay, so let's see what we want to do. We're gonna try to keep the dragon in our hand as long as possible. We have double scuttle. We're not gonna play both probably, so we can just ink a scuttle and we'll play an ice block, so we have something for the Sisu. And then on turn 2, we get a popsicle. So what you could do, because we want, let's say we didn't have a queen, you could play a popsicle now, ink the Maleficent or the card you draw, and then next turn play the Scuttle or the Sisu if they played something to kill. But you could just play the Scuttle now, right? Ink the Maleficent, play the Scuttle, then find some time. Let's say on turn, let's say we draw an inkable, we get like a lucky dime from the Scuttle. Next turn we can ink the queen, probably most likely kill something with Sisu plus Ice Block, and then the next turn And then on turn 5, we play Popsicle and Hiram and start drawing cards. But yeah, right now I would just generally ink the dragon, play Scuttle. 4. So against every other deck, against every deck except for red purple, I would always take the Fishbone Quill here. Against red purple, especially because we're putting away a Sisu and a Maui here. I would probably get the Sphere, but it depends a little bit uh, on what they played on turn 1 or turn 2, but probably something like this. And then I generally want to keep the board wipe above the one cost item, unless that one cost item was a popsicle, then we put the popsicle on top. Alright, let's go to turn 3. Draw. Right, so this is a good example of why we are not normal red blue. So in normal red blue, you would ink the queen, play Fishbone, ink Sisu, play Popsicle, right? That would be your normal play. Play these 4 cards, or use these 4 cards. But we are not normal red blue, and for us, the queen is just very good. So I would say ink the Fishbone Quill, uh, play the queen. Turn 4, you'll draw a card. We get another uninkable, but that's okay. We have queen activations. We can try to search for a Fishbone Quill or an ink. We get a shield. Oh, that's interesting. All right, only a shield. For now, I would for putting it on bottom, I would put Hiram on top and the 2 brawls on the bottom. The brawls are the worst removal cards, and Hiram is your best draw card. Let's say one of these was inkable. Right now, what I would have done is take the shield to my hand, ink something, then activate Queen again and try to search for ink. Right now, this is a little bit hard. Um, yeah, you could use it for ink and then Hiram kill the ice block, but that's also very fishy. I think the best option could honestly just be take the shield to hand, ink the popsicle, and play shield to activate queen a second time. It also kind of matters what you're playing against again, because against some decks you want as many queen activations as possible. Against other decks you're okay with it dying immediately and just want to draw cards. Um, if this was against green steel, I would probably inked the shield, played the Hiram, killed ice block, and drawed 2 more cards, and then like discarded the Sisu or Medusa. Probably the Sisu after because we got rid of the ice block, and then uh, next turn play Popsicle. If our Hiram survives, we can draw a lot of cards, right? So and it also kind of plays around Aladdin, because if they have a Aladdin and uh, we have no items, but we just play it every time and then kill it with Hiram, then we just continue drawing cards, and their Aladdin is a lot less useful. But for now, yeah, you could you could ink the popsicle, which you almost never do, and then you play the shield you just got, and then untap the queen, and activate the queen again, and then you get an ice block. So now the Sisu becomes pretty good. Hiram has 2 targets, either the extra ice block or the shield if the queen is dealt with. So that's also okay. Obviously, it's a bit sad that we had to ink the popsicle, but hands like these happen, and situations like these with the queen happen. So it's good to learn to try and see how that works. And then again, to put cards on bottom. Queen is always on the bottom. You almost never need it. Board wipes are almost always on top, unless it's a Tamato or a dime. So that's a reasonably easy decision. All right, so we used our ink. So we go to turn 5, draw again, and we get a Fang Crossbow. Unless we're playing against a very specific deck, that deck doesn't really matter. The crossbow doesn't really matter, especially already with two ice blocks. So Let's just activate the queen. Okay, that's not the best hit. Well, actually, it's a pretty good hit, but we're not a hit we play. So we'll get the dime. Again, down throws our win condition, but then on top, ice block in the middle, and the foo is pretty useless in the late game. So let's put that one on bottom. And at this point, if you don't need to sisu something, you you might just play a Hiram, or you can activate the shield on the queen again. Kind of depends on what your hand is right now. Or again, if you play against green steel, if you're playing green steel, you want to draw more cards. But in against green steel, we would have played the Hiram last turn already. Um, right now we have a good inkable. We can just keep the Hiram in hand, keep as many cards in our hand, and hopefully we want to try to find a workshop. So we're gonna try to do that. We're gonna activate shield and we're gonna activate queen again. Another be prepared and a miss. Oh, that sucks. Um, again for the order, when you have multiple removal, you put the best removal on top. The best removal is the board wipe, and then the brawl, then the sisu. Right. And now we obviously ink the crossbow and keep the Hiram in our hand. Next turn, let's go to turn 6. We draw a card. Um, okay, now we just want to activate the queen, see if we can get like an inkable or something. If we need to play a Medusa, uh, or we just missed again. That could also happen. So we get Tamato on top, Hiram in the middle, and then Brawl and LeFou on bottom. Um, yeah, right now you really want an inkable, and at this point, the chance that the queen ever survives is so low that you would just kill the shield, play your Hiram, draw two cards, and then we have another Hiram, and we do have another shield, but we don't have enough ink to play and use it. So let's ink the shield and just assume queen will die. And we entered 6 against most decks with double Medusa, or sorry, triple Medusa, a dime, another Hiram, and a Sisu. And this can basically now we're entering the phase of the game where you play all your answers against your opponent's threats, and you start slowly drawing cards and getting workshops going, or getting an early dime, getting a few free lore with your scuttle, and then slowly start winning the game like we did in our other um, in our other videos, or in the other goldfishes. All right. I think I will end the stream here. We streamed for a good 1.5 hours. Take a break, make some dinner, and then we will continue later in the evening for me. So let's say in about 1.5 hours, with either play if people are available for playing. Uh, you can join the 20 Lore Pro Discord. The Discord's in the title of this stream, and I am just hanging around in the voice chat, in the streaming #1 voice chat, where you can join and you can request to play a game. And I will also always say yes unless I'm already playing a game, right? So thank you guys for watching the stream, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.